Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rome High School's Title I Night. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on technology with tech toolkits for families and guardians, and just go through some of the things that Google offers to provide a little bit of technology help with your students at home so that you can understand how we use Google Classroom as well as the other Google tools that are available in education to make success for students. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through an online guide, and I want you to be able to have access to this. So to gain access to this form, you can either scan this QR code or you can go down to the bottom and type in the URL at the bottom of the page so you have access to the clickable links in the PDF. So if you would, take a brief second and pause the video and either take out your phone and use your camera to scan the QR code, or if you have a QR code scanner, you can use that as well. And of course, if you don't have either one and you only have maybe a computer available, you can type in the URL down at the bottom of the page and you can get access to that guide. Now we'll talk a little bit about the video series that Google for Education offers to students and families, just to be able to access some of the information that can be useful in using these tools that we use from day to day in our classrooms. So for Google for Education video series, first off, you will actually have access to this. It's a YouTube playlist, and if you look, it's available to you on your PDF that you just scanned. So if we click on this link, it's going to pull it up for us so that we can go through and we can see all the different videos that they offer on YouTube. So when you look, they actually offer up to 8 videos that are accessible for everybody, students, families, parents, grandparents, whoever is the guardian of the child, to be able to give them some introduction information and just basic information about the tools that are available out there. The first one talks about introduction to tech toolkits for families and guardians. The next one focuses on just G Suites for education, which is all the different tech tools that Google offers. Then there's some focus on Chromebooks, Google Classroom, Google Meets, accessibility if you have a child with maybe some disabilities or just need some extra help with the Chromebook. One of the features that it offers is a read aloud, which is really nice and is really great for any student. Security, and then also the Be Awesome or Be Internet Awesome family link, which is really, really great. I'm actually going to go into that here shortly when I get done with this information. So that'll be at the very end. But there's some really good tools here, some just really quick, short videos. And if you notice, the longest video, I believe, is 3 minutes and 9 seconds. So this is something that you can just watch, work through, and gain some information. It'll probably take you maybe anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to watch these videos. And you can go through and learn a little bit about what Google G Suites is and how Google Classroom, as well as all the other Google tools, work in correlation with that. Now, if you got a younger kid, maybe you want to check out some younger tools, maybe just some basic information for them that you can watch along. And they actually have that, which is the Google Junior Training Series. So if you click on that link, it'll actually pull up for you. And from what I could gather, these are very basic videos, very short videos, so that it doesn't spend a lot of time. But there's a few more of these you can go through and see. They got all the way up to 70 videos here. So this might give some information just to help with the understanding of how Google works. And it goes through and talks about taking care of your Chromebook, how to sign in, some very basic information, what the waffle menu is, those 3 or 9 little dots up in the top right-hand corner. So a lot of really great information here. Maybe even some things that if you're new to Google, it's a very basic rundown. So maybe you need to know inbox management. Or maybe you're looking at Google Calendar, trying to figure out how to make that work, or Google Classroom, turning in assignments. That's one thing that we see a lot that students struggle with, is making sure they hit the turn it in button. So please make sure you check these out as well. Just because it's made, just because it says Junior Training Series doesn't mean that it might not be, or that it's not information that's important for your child being in high school either. Maybe it's something they didn't know. So feel free to check these videos out. These may take you a little bit longer to go through, but Once again, they tend to range anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes, so they're not very long videos. You can break them up over a few days and check those out. And hopefully those will be a useful resource for you when working with your virtual child, or if you have a student that's working here at the school and they just need access, or you just need access to know how they're getting their assignments and all. So some really good information here. Feel free to check that out and watch those videos. All right, so next on our list tonight is Google Terms and Glossary. And this is really helpful just because there's a lot of terminology out there in the world that's really difficult. To me, I don't understand, or I didn't understand at first all the different things that were available. And I know a lot of people struggle with understanding, like when I say G Suites or Google Docs or Gmail, you might have some issues as far as like knowing like what those little words are. So that's why we've got the terms here so that you have kind of a quick breakdown of what I'm talking about. When I say Google Classroom or Google Meets, it'll give you that background information to help you with those topics to be successful in explaining it to your child or just being able to understand it in general. So let's check out some of the terms that they offer here. So if we click on the link, it'll open up for us and we'll be able to see all the different terms that are available. So it talks about what a Chromebook is and gives you a definition, which is really, really nice. G Suite for Education, there's the definition that it gives you as well. And it talks about Gmail, Classroom, Docs, Meet, Drive. And then it gets into a little bit more defined, like Google Classroom. What is a Google Meet? What is Docs, Sheets, Slides, Forms, Drive? I mean, a lot of good information here. And it's not extensive. It goes pretty quick. It's only 2 pages. So it's not like there's just a ton of information to overload you. But if you want to know more about these different terms, like maybe you're trying to figure out this whole Google Meet thing and you want to know more about distance learning, if you click on that link, it'll talk to you about how to set up Meet for distance learning and give you some of the information that we know. And it'll give you a lot deeper understanding of it. Not just like it talks about setting up a Meet. It goes through that information. Teacher train teachers and students to use Meet. It gives you some resources there. So if you want to dive deep into it, it gives you the ability to dive deep without overloading you. So maybe there's some terminology here that you're curious about. Maybe you've heard about this Guardian Summaries, which is a great way to communicate with your teachers. If you click on that, it talks to you about what that is and how that works. And if you don't have Guardian Summaries, let me suggest you email your teachers now and get that added to the Google Classroom so that you can have that access for your students, because it'll send out summaries of their weekly classwork, their missing work, upcoming work. All of that information will be emailed to you once a week in a nice, simple to read format. And you'll have those nice little email summaries coming in for you. So this gives you all that information about what that is, how to set that up, and it's all in one easy to find location. So feel free to check that out. Click on the different ones, learn a little bit about it. And of course, if you have one that you're wanting to learn more about specifically, feel free to look into it and see what all you can find out about it. All right, so going on in our lesson tonight, we'll now talk about best practices for family engagement, which there are some interesting topics here as well. This is just a quick one-pager that provides best practices for families and guardians to stay engaged with their children's education and build healthy digital habits and communicate with educators and their students on their progress. So let's look at this third section here and just kind of take a quick second to look through it. So this is going to actually break it down to where you have information about navigating technologies for the classroom. Once again, it goes into that Guardian Summaries. You'll notice that that's something that Google really, really pushes, which gives you those weekly reports to help you stay engaged with your student. Once again, they point out the Google for Education video series, which we just talked about that, and that'll help you be able to connect and find out more about that information so that you can be successful with helping your students if they're struggling with some stuff in Google Classroom or any other types of Google technology. And then same thing with the Google Terms Glossary, which we just talked about. If your child doesn't work well on screens, communicate with their teachers and find out if there's alternative learning methods that maybe they can figure out a way to balance their screen time. Or even with our teachers, we talk a lot about just being on the computer all day long. That's a struggle that a lot of students have, and we realize that. So one thing that we try to push is that students need to take quick breaks in between. They need to, for every, say, 60 minutes you're on a computer screen call, you need to take 5 minutes and just look away from the computer. So that's why we have our class schedules built in that way so that students work for 45 minutes and then they can take a 5 to 10 minute break before they go to their next class. So they have that ability. So encourage your students that during those 5 to 10 minute class changes, that once they get into their next class, they go ahead, kind of take a break, maybe walk away from the computer, put down the technology, and just go outside for a quick second. That'll be really, really great to help them be able to work on their screens a little bit more effectively. So just a little tidbit there, but hopefully that'll be something that you can add to your what you're already doing. Communicating with teachers. Teachers say that one of the best ways to stay involved in your child's progress is in the classroom is by checking in with them and the school as needed with just questions or clarifications or just general check-ins. So just because your student's virtual or just because your student's here at school and you don't really check into all that, just feel free to call one day. Maybe send an email to a teacher. Reach out in some way. If you want to have a parent conference meeting, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to set those up as well. But communicate with the teachers. That's one effective way to help your student be successful, is by reaching out and staying in connection with those teachers. Communicating with your child on their educational experience can differ across age groups, but establish open relationships about their experience and creates a healthy environment around thriving in the classroom. So when I think of this, one thing that I always think of is me and my wife, we've babysit with kids before, and we've had them during the week when they're going to school. And one thing I always do is when the kids come home, I always sit down with them and I say, hey, what'd you learn at school today? If they can't come up with something, then I always challenge them to find out something the next day and then bring it home and tell me about it. So it's always just great to ask about your child's day, ask what they're learning, even if they're virtual, find out what they're learning and find out what information they're finding out in their classes, just so that you can have that conversation and build that relationship, to have an open relationship and get to learn what they're learning so that you know what's going on in their lives. And then digital well-being and online safety. Once again, the screen time comes up, so make sure you're dealing with the screen time issue, making sure they're taking appropriate breaks whenever they need to, and make sure the content that they're checking out online is always appropriate as well. With Family Link, that's an app that you can check out. It allows you to create a profile where you can add your student's Google account and set settings for their Chromebook. So you might want to check that out. Maybe that's something that you're interested in to help with the monitoring side of it. Also practicing, you can practice being a good digital citizen online, which is something I think is very important, with resources such as the Be Internet Awesome, which we'll talk about in a second. There's also applied digital skills. And if you were attending last year at our technology session, you learned a little bit about Common Sense Media, which has a lot of great information just about anything technology. It even breaks down movies if you go to Common Sense Media, and they'll tell you like what the rating is for the movie, if there's cursing in the movie, anything that's inappropriate for that child, so that you can kind of keep up with that as well. So check out those websites. We'll talk more about Be Internet Awesome here shortly, but use those to help teach your child good online citizenship so that they can be successful and well-rounded online. Learning beyond school, there's so much students can learn outside of school, so be willing to push them towards those other areas, such as Google Arts and Culture. There's apps out there for that. Google Earth is another great tool, or any other tools that can create an experience beyond the classroom. Just something to give children a sense of like, hey, I want to learn about this. Maybe there's a YouTube. But YouTube is one of the greatest tools out there, because me as an adult, something goes wrong on my vehicle, the first thing I try and do is I try and troubleshoot it and use YouTube to figure out what's going on with it. Actually, a couple of years ago, I repaired a whole washer and dryer and figured out what the issue was because I was watching YouTube videos. So YouTube is one of those things that you may not think it's very, it may not feel like it's teaching people something. Sometimes people use it to watch music or just waste time sometimes, but it does have its positives out there as well, as far as what it can do to positively affect you as well. So that just goes into the learning beyond school, things that you can learn online that are important skills that may be able to help you out one day in real life. So always feel free to check those out. All right, continuing with our discussion here, let's move on to our next tool. And the next one, I actually jumped over a slide, is Google for Education Tech frequently asked questions. And this is a great resource, and this is the one I'll end on with this specific document. But this is going to give you just some basic frequently asked questions and the answers to those questions for families and guardians as far as what technologies kids are using in the classroom and issues that they might run into. Google's actually made this frequently asked questions chart so that you can look through it real quickly, find an answer hopefully, and then be able to help yourself out so that you can be successful and continue moving forward. Let's actually check this out because this is kind of cool. So some of the things that are on here, how do I access Google Classroom? That's actually a question we get a lot. So it tells you the answer to that. How does my child sign into Google Classroom? So it'll give you some things that can help you out here. And once again, you'll start noticing these little hyperlinks. It'll take you into more information. Like if you need to navigate to Google or classroom.google.com, that link will take you to that website to help you be successful with that. Where can I see my child's assignment, missing work, or work to be submitted? Once again, that question is answered. It gives you all the information as far as deadlines in Google Calendar, where you can see their assignments. And then notice again, parent guardian summaries. It's very important that you check that out. I think that'll be something that you'll love. What should we be doing if the page is not loading in Google Classroom? Tells you what to do there. What might be the reason? Figure out maybe some answers. If you click on this link, it'll take you to some common error messages so that you can figure out what the fix may be. Maybe you're having trouble. Maybe you're having issues. It says, how can we use these tools without internet or Wi-Fi? So there is an offline mode that you might be able to check out. You can go through and read about that as well. We have low internet bandwidth. What is some of the best practices? And it'll give you some different best practices to help you out with that issue. So lots of great things. I'm not going to go through all of these, but there's several of them. A quick 2-pager, once again, something that's very compact and easy to check out, but a lot of great information that you can just check through and read through. And then, of course, once again, these got great little informational segments here where you can click on the link and it'll give you the information that you need to know to be successful with that. All right, so that takes us through that document. Once again, if you haven't had access to this document the whole time, that link is down here and it's available to you. You can also scan the QR code to access that. And all of it's built in. Just click on the links and you'll be able to move throughout that document with ease. And it'll take you to all that information that we were just exploring. So I just had that hyperlinked in my slides to be able to get to it a little easier. All right, so going to the Google Be Internet Awesome. And I want to show you this because this is not only great for families and older kids, it's also great for younger kids. And it's something that you can access just to gain resources. And it's a whole website that Google's actually put together to help you guys teach the online citizenship to your students and children. And it's very user-friendly. If you go in here, you have tabs for families, educators. There's slides that you can check out, different news, and once again, frequently asked questions that you may explore. So if we click up here on this Families tab, you'll see that there's digital safety resources, and it says Tools for the Home. So this is actually things that you can go in and check out. It talks about being smart, alert, strong, kind, and brave. And if you notice, something that Google's done really, really well is not only are these resources in English, they're also in Spanish, which makes it really, really nice. So you can download the Family Guide in English. You can also download a Family Guide in Spanish if you want access to that. And it'll take you through some little things to teach your children how to be internet awesome. So there's a little game here for kids that they can play. I'll show you that here shortly. There's a coloring book, internet awesome tips where you can download different flyers, a family pledge, family link to parent guide, paper craft activities that you can do with your family, and just a digital guide for family well-being, which is nice. So lots of additional resources here. It's really easy to navigate, both English and Spanish, but feel free to check those out. Now, of course, for you guys that have younger kids out there, I want to show you this as well. You can also click on this, and it's a little interactive game. I'm going to turn the sounds down, but it's an interactive game that teaches your child digital citizenship. And kids can actually play this. I would suggest it for elementary school kids if you have kids that young. But it's just a real fun resource. Anybody, I would say, at any level where they can read up. It's a really great resource just to be able to go in, play the game, You have different lands here, and each land has its own activity. So you can click around. It's really user-friendly, and it's a lot of fun to play. So like on this one, I'm going to go ahead and play. It's called Don't Fall for Fake. So it's the reality river. So I'm going to go check it out. And what it does is it'll take you in. It'll be a little bitty short game, but kids can play this and go through and answer the different questions. So it says the river run. Oh, I missed it. But it tells you the directions, but things aren't always as they seem. So let's check out and see what happens here. So there's my little avatar. He pops up on the rock. It says cross the rapids. I can actually hit this pause button if I want to. It says cross the rapids by using your best judgment. Watch out for the fishers lurking in the water. They'll try and trick you. So that's what we're going to be looking out for. All right. So then it's going to move on forward. And then I'm going to have some questions, I believe, to answer. It says to get to the other side of the river, correctly answer these questions. So let's see if we can do that. Now, I'll show you a couple different, I'm going to show you like wrong answers and right answers here. So the first one says you get an email with a hilarious subject line that is obviously a scam. Let's do that one. So it gives us some different options. It says, we click over here. It says, LOL, forward it to your friends for a laugh, but tell them not to click anything. All right, so then I'm going to hit the space bar if I want that answer. So if I do that, I know that's the wrong answer here because obviously we don't want to do that. It falls in the water, tells me that it's false, never forward sketchy emails for any reason, even the funny ones. So then I can look at my other answer choices. It'll take me back out, tells me that I belly flop. All right, let's check out the other ones. Delete it and forget it, or avoid clicking any links and mark it as spam. I'm going to say that's my correct answer. So if I jump over to that one, it gives me 15 points for achieving it, and then I earned, it says achievement earned, so I earned a badge for that as well. So now I go on to the next one. So then it gives me 10 questions that I'm going to look through, answer the questions, and the whole goal of this game is to get my avatar to the other side. So just a fun little game that you can play. There's 4 different mini games here, something that they can do probably on a weekend, but it will teach them some things that you may not know. It may teach the child some things they don't know, but it helps them become a better digital citizen so that they know what to look for out in real life. Okay. So check out those resources. Feel free to go through those. Just kind of see what you think of them, and let me know if you have any questions. So here in a second, you're going to do a feedback. If you have anything that you have questions about, feel free to drop some questions on that feedback. I've been reviewing the feedback as we go through these different lessons. So my goal is to reach out to parents every 9 weeks or every 9 weeks to be able to just check on them, see if there's any resources I can give to you guys. Of course, if you have questions, let me know. And hopefully this was a great opportunity for you to learn a little bit about Google and the things that it offers and just some information about digital citizenship. So let me know if you got questions. Feel free to give feedback, comments. I'm always open to that. And I believe we'll have another session coming up next month. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're checking out our social media channels. And if you have any questions, let us know. All right. Have a great day.